Hey folks, welcome to the Kira Banks Show. This week we have week 24 of a year of self-love journal. This week's mantra is, I am open to new adventures and I'm willing to experience the world with childlike wonder and curiosity. So this is a fun one, right? Like thinking about adventures we've had, adventures we want to have, and adventures like we would do and dream up if only we were not scared. And so this one was exciting and a little scary. I guess those can go together. Yes, they can. Because adventure typically is like something that's exciting. And some of that excitement also can come with a little, I don't even want to say fear, but some anxiety. Kind of like when you go on a roller coaster, if you do roller coasters. I love them. And I sometimes have that moment right before I take off, like I'm really doing this to myself, or that moment where you get to the highest peak and you know you're about to drop or fall. So all that to say, adventure. This week invited us to reflect on the greatest adventures we've had and to look forward to and dream of adventures. So for me, I think the greatest adventure that I have had solo is I traveled to and actually lived in Francophone West Africa, based in Dakar, Senegal, for about 3 or 4 months between my undergrad and grad time. And it was a Rotary Cultural Ambassador Fellowship, which I invite anyone who's interested in travel to look into the Rotary's Cultural Ambassador Fellowship. I really do hope they still have it, because it was an amazing opportunity. You get sponsored by a chapter of a Rotarian who is in a chapter, and then they can put you forward. And you sometimes have to be strategic because certain areas have a lot of people competing for these fellowships and other areas don't. So talk to folks and get curious. Anyway, you can travel to different parts of the world and you are an ambassador. You're an ambassador for Rotary. And so I stayed with a family in Dakar, Senegal, and then was connected to the Rotary chapter there in Senegal, and then also traveled to Mali and Burkina Faso, all on this Rotary Fellowship. And I met with different chapters, different Rotarians as I, traveled, and I was doing language study. So basically I spent hours a day honing my French. And because I was in Senegal, also learning Wolof. And it was just a great adventure. Not always easy. I was away from home. I was sometimes really frustrated with figuring things out in a new country, sometimes sad, but always something new to experience. I met some wonderful people through this trip. And I also pushed myself. So there was one time in particular when I think about like the greatest adventure, it's within that experience that I just shared. But there was a woman who had been there for longer than I had, and she had planned this trip to Mali and Burkina Faso, and she had connected with different Rotarians in those places. And so she asked if I wanted to go with her. And I said, well, sure. It was maybe my 3rd week there. And I was like, of course I'll go. Her French was strong. She was confident. She had been in country for a while and, had met these people, I think, at a conference or sometime when they had come to Dakar. And then she comes down with a parasite. And her doctor tells her, this is, I don't know which time she had gotten a parasite, that she should not travel, that she needed to stay put, that she didn't need any more exposure to different places, water, environments. And so he said, you should not go. So here I am wondering, do I go? Everything is planned. Everything is booked. But I was going to be tagging along with someone who spoke French better than I did. My French was still rusty. And I remember going to the Fulbright house. So there were different Fulbright scholars who were also in Dakar. And I met one of them. And I remember going to her house one afternoon. And it was like as quick as this. She was not giving me the time of day. She was not giving me any empathy. She was like, you get on that plane. Like, there's no question. Basically, without saying it, she said, you're being ridiculous. You're being a baby. get over yourself and go on this trip. And I have to say, it was the greatest adventure I've ever had. Going on that trip, I saw places and was able to like get on buses to travel hours from where I had flown into. I was in escarpments in Mali and went to Jenne and Mopti and all these places. Like, it's kind of playing back in my mind. And one of the trips, I met some people and decided to go on an excursion with them to guys from the UK. But then I broke off from them because what I wanted to do didn't match, and my schedule, needed to be different for me. And so like I was literally alone traveling solo. And yes, if you're listening, so many things could have gone wrong. So many things could have gone wrong. And yet I'm here and I'm safe. And I have those experiences to remind myself I can do hard things. I can do things I'm not sure I can do. I can do things that I am not 100% confident, thinking about last week, that I can do, but I can move in a way that allows me to step into those experiences and opportunities and to be present and possibly to gain some more confidence from them. It was amazing. It was amazing in all sorts of ways, the things that I saw and what I learned about myself and other people, other cultures, other countries. So for me, that's the greatest adventure. I would hope that this week has invited you to also reflect on the adventures you've had. But then the question also is, what adventures do you dream of having, right? We have more life to live. I was watching something, I don't know where it was, when they were saying, rather than think about wishing that you would grow up as your 20-year-old self, imagine waking up as your 80-year-old self and then realize you are the age you are and you have all of those years yet to live, if that makes sense, right? Like that you want to capture and really seize the day, right, of where you are. And even though it might feel hard to change things, or there might be areas of your life that feel boring. This week talked about, like, are there areas that feel boring? How do you do a refresh if you don't quite have a grasp on those dreams of what is yet to come? So for me, it was, thinking about those dreams that I have and what I want to do. Like, I imagine myself having my book come out and having it be successful, and me being able to talk to more people about the ideas and to be able to travel and have time with my family. Like, I have these dreams of travel, of being in conversation with people, of being in the world in a way that invites people into curiosity. And so there are areas where I feel like I need a refresh, but right now, actually, I feel pretty regimented in terms of making sure I'm getting all the things that I need to get done in my life, which is working at the moment. But this week made me think about, like, okay, where might I need to switch things up a little bit, or to not get to the point where it feels like I'm regimented and it's boring or I'm stuck. And so things like, do you change up your morning routine? There was a time where I was getting up and working out right away, working out fasted. And I was doing some reading and also just listening to my body, and being in perimenopause. I'm like, maybe I don't need to work out fasted. Maybe I need to eat something before I work out. And I mean, shout out to my CrossFit coach from years ago who told me that, but maybe my body was young enough to not have the consequences. So I've switched it up a bit. I'll get up, I'll eat, I might write a bit or read a bit, and then I'll go work out. And so, for you, what does that look like to switch things up? Maybe it's switching up an evening routine. Maybe you have your routine of, like, sitting in front of the TV and watching Netflix or scrolling. And, can you switch it up and maybe add some stretching while you're watching TV, or add a cup of tea or something that, like, just breaks things up in a different way for you. And then this week also invited us to make a bucket list, of what we have yet to do and what we look forward to. And it talks about, like, what places are on your bucket list, what activities are on your bucket list, what do you want to really kind of get ready for in your life in terms of experiences, what foods do you want to try? So to invite you to develop some adventure, even if it doesn't like come right to the front of your mind, that even those little things can be adventurous. So sometimes on TikTok, I will share different restaurants that are in my city or in a city that I'm going to be traveling to. And so in addition to going to a new place, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to find this random food truck that someone posted about that looked really good. And it's like a little mini adventure inside a work trip. And so I share that with you to say that it doesn't have to be a huge grand vacation. It doesn't have to be a large expense in terms of it, oh, I can't do that until and have money be the barrier, that it can be something small. Those adventures could even be adventures in terms of finding different places to hike near you, totally free, different little hidden spots and gyms in your neighborhood. And so I think this week, in reflecting on adventure, I want you to think big and small, or maybe even small, medium, and large when you think about your bucket list. Don't just think about those things that are so far down the road that it's too delayed gratification. Think about things that could happen in the next week, things that can happen in the next month, 6 months, or year. So I invite you into that spirit of adventuresome, have your adventurous spirit, and hope that you share with me in the comments what adventures you've had and what adventures are yet to come for you. So I'll see you next week on the Kira Banks Show. Thanks for joining me.
Have tea to spill or something you want to ask Dr. Banks? Contact her at kirabanks.com/stories or stories@raisingequity.org. Thanks for listening.